I'm Pop Sigung, and welcome to my channel, where I teach my personal martial art of Bagua Kung Tao Silat. Today, I want to speak to you about 8 ways to lose a street fight. Typically, I show techniques, physical exercises, and other things, but this is a very serious thing, and we practice our art for self-development and self-defense. 8 ways to lose a street fight will help you get your mind prepared about the realities of a street fight and is a window into the thinking about my personal martial art of Bagua Kung Tao Silat. Now, I've been security at a door to bars in my much younger days. I've also been a military policeman in the United States Army. I've been in law enforcement. I've been a private investigator where I had my own agency for 15 years. I was an executive protection specialist, and I worked for the state as an investigator and helped set up investigations and prepare for court and teach others and law enforcement in hand-to-hand physical combat, as well as people in the U.S. military. I've seen violence from every possible angle. As a victim, as somebody who investigated it afterwards, as somebody who had to necessarily perpetrate it, and I've witnessed it far more than that. I've been the victim of violent crime. I've also been the person who had to go to the hospital with those who are also victims of violent crime. And I've been in the courts to see the aftermath and what happens to victims and those who perpetrate violent crime. The number one way to lose a street fight is getting in a street fight. Do not let your ego control your actions and take over your mind. What are you doing? This is a street fight. If it's not genuine and sincere self-defense, where you are fearing for your life or someone else's, there's no reason to fight at all. Sure, arguments happen. Sure, tempers flare sometimes, but we're talking about a street fight. You have no idea what's going on. Truly, you just have this sliver of perception with the person in front of you and hopefully the environment around you. And now you're in a fight because you let your ego dictate your actions. Who cares that somebody called your mother a dirty name? You don't even know them. Who cares that someone bumped into your girlfriend and didn't apologize and she's screaming about the affront? It doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you the only way you can lose a street fight is to get in a street fight. And I'm also going to tell you something else. You lose every street fight. It doesn't matter what happens. Even in a first world or developed country, if you win, if you defend yourself successfully and quickly and get away before the authorities arrive, this is the modern world. Cameras are everywhere. People and witnesses are everywhere. And they have cameras in their pockets, high definition cameras that can come on in seconds and show everything. You will be known. The local authorities will find you. And best case, you weren't there to give a report. The witnesses and the victim, now the victim, which was your opponent, who started it, and it doesn't matter. And you're going to be in court defending yourself against someone who has the whole story. Sure, you'll get your side, but guess what? You won. You're probably relatively unscathed, and that person has contusions, perhaps broken bones, maybe a concussion, had to go to the hospital, and told them everything. And the witnesses, listening to their story, even though they saw something different, will probably go along with that person. Why? Because they're a victim, and everybody listens to victims, especially perhaps when they started it and they got their comeuppance, because they go, I don't want that to happen to me. And now you're a scary guy that beat somebody up, no matter how much they may have deserved it, and got away scot-free. And that frightens people. When you frighten people, they act irrationally, and they want people punished when other people become injured. Doesn't matter, they brought it upon themselves. That's just how it works. Don't allow your ego to control your actions. It truly does not matter. Although you think it does, don't cave in to that character of yourself you've created in your own mind. I know it's difficult, especially for younger men. Your job is to be happy and keep living and help those you can help, especially your friends and family. If you're in prison, you can't do that. If you're dead, you can't do that. And in a street fight, that's a real possibility. You don't know who you're confronting. You don't know truly what's going on here other than somebody's mad at you and appears to want to fight you. But you don't understand the reasons why. You don't know what's going on in their head. And if you're in an unfamiliar area, you really don't understand who else is there to help out. It could be somebody, others you have no idea about. And if you're in an undeveloped country, or say you're a tourist or visiting another country and it's just you, if you get in a street fight in that area, I promise you, every able-bodied male in the area that's going to hear the screaming from witnesses and onlookers or hollering will show up, probably with weapons in hand, to deal with you. You may not live through it. If you're lucky, you're going to spend time in the hospital. And I don't care how skilled you are, you're not going to beat an entire village of armed people willing to beat you down because you got in a fight with one of their people who's probably their brother or cousin they've known forever and love very much, and they don't know you except as the person who's attacking their family member from a foreign country who doesn't look like any of those people. And then, should you lose in a developed country, you're going to have hospital bills. You'll probably be charged as a felon for a felony battery or assault, whether you win or lose in a street fight in a developed country. In an undeveloped country, the local authorities are going to be the ones to put their hands on you. And it doesn't matter who started it. It doesn't matter what's going on. All that matters is you're this guy who's beating up the local population, who's generally peaceful until you showed up. That's all they know. You're going to spend thousands in legal representation, win or lose. Do you have any professional licenses? You probably don't anymore. Your job, you probably lost that due to your new reputation that they're aware of, or due to missed time at work because you got scuffed up, you had to go to the hospital. And now people feel like they can't trust you. Why? Because they think you're that scary person. Don't be that scary person. Don't allow your ego to try to save face when your face doesn't actually exist. It's a construct created by your mind about somebody who you think you are or who you project yourself to be. That's the number one way to lose a street fight. Getting in one in the first place when it's totally unnecessary. And I'm here to tell you, 99.9% of the time, it's totally unnecessary. The second way to lose in a street fight is you realize things are getting out of hand. You've taken control of your ego and you're just going to be dismissive, wave the guy off, turn your back and walk away. Right when he's in your face, screaming obscenities and try to goad you into action or try to show he's the bigger man or whatever's going on in their mind. And you simply just look at him dismissively and turn around and walk off. Or it's not even dismissively. Say you just simply and turn around and walk away. Don't do that. If he's hyped up and you don't know what's going in his mind, he's right there in front of you. Say he's already done the chest bump or not, doesn't really matter. You do that right in front of someone who wants to punch you, you're begging them to punch you. They will sucker punch you if they have any idea in their mind that they want to punch you. You've turned your back on them right there in front of them. That first punch will often determine the tenor of the entire fight. You're already injured. You didn't see it coming because you didn't think he was going to do anything, because you didn't want to do anything. You just realized, what's this guy's problem? Turned around and walked off. But you did it in a manner that allowed him, who wanted to punch you, he couldn't resist the opportunity. Why? Because his ego's got control of him. Or you don't know what his mental problem is or what kind of day he had. It doesn't matter. Regardless of the reason, you simply gave him a prime opportunity to land a haymaker punch directly on the back of your head or your temple or wherever is going to be most devastating for you and easiest for him to hit. And you did it right there. You can't make this stuff up. I've seen it happen, and I've seen those sucker punches taken because those kind of people cannot resist it. And those are the kind of people that generally want to start fights. There's a proper and improper way to de-escalate the situation and avoid a street fight. Instantly turning your back on someone in a casual, dismissive manner as if you're unconcerned is not it. As I said, that's almost goading them into throwing the punch, should they really want to throw a punch. They're going to do it then, when your guard's down and you're still standing up, and they think in their mind somewhere, their ego has told them, he's disrespecting you. He doesn't even think that you're worth his time and effort. And you're sitting there hollering, obviously angry, and he's unconcerned with you. He's arrogant. Throw the bomb. And many of them, especially those who've been in many street fights, they're going to do just that. The third way to lose a street fight is being unaware of your environment. You have no idea where the exits are. You really have no idea why this person's screaming in front of you, or you think you may have an idea, but the rage is simply incompatible with the situation. You also aren't paying attention to where his hands are, how many buddies he may have, routes of escape for yourself, routes of entry for help for that person if they decide to jump on you and physically attack you. You're looking around, what's behind you? Who's behind you? That buddy that was right next to him when he started screaming at you, where did he go? Now all of a sudden, he's over here on your flank. Or there's another person, friend of his, right behind you while he's screaming at you to attempt to distract you. They've decided they're going to jump you. And you think it's just a fight. This may be a robbery. This may be a kidnapping. They may want to beat you down so they can kidnap one of your family members. You have no idea what's going on because you're unaware of your environment. This may be a setup, but you're not sure because you haven't been paying attention. Try to remain aware in your environment. Also, especially if you're in a foreign country, you really need to pay attention. Being unaware of the local laws and customs, that might be what started the fight, and you have no idea how that happened. Do some research when you go to foreign areas, whether in your own country or others. If it's an unfamiliar place, pay attention to your environment. Also, being unaware, maybe you started the fight by raising your voice while haggling with some vendor somewhere, and they became affronted, felt disrespected, started screaming back, and then you immediately thought, what's wrong with this guy? He's yelling at me out of nowhere. I'm not taking that. And you raised your voice even more. Then the punch comes from the guy because he wanted you simply to go away and let you know, I'm not going to take that sort of tone and abuse from somebody I don't know about something that's simply a business transaction. You started the fight and you didn't even know it. That's one of the reasons why you must maintain awareness, not of your environment, but also of yourself. Of course, you're part of that environment and you need to understand your place in it. And that leads me to displaying angry and disrespectful behavior. That's one way to lose a street fight. You didn't become immediately dismissive. However, you may have precipitated the fight or made the fight escalate to a degree which you didn't intend because you decided you're not going to take this, whatever it is, for whatever reason, and started showing disrespect. Perhaps you bumped into someone in a manner that they simply can't tolerate. You refused to apologize because you didn't think it was a big deal. You started raising your voice and you were unaware of the environment or the country. And for you, you got away with it when you're in the United States or in a European country. People didn't like it, but they were simply just ignoring you. And you went away and you think that's a normal part of your behavior. It's not normal behavior. Don't show angry or disrespectful behavior thinking also that you might bluff them down. You don't want to engage in a fight, but you're not going to be cowed down. There's that ego peeking up again. And you decide you're going to show that you're angry and you're willing to do whatever it takes to overcome this guy who you believe in your mind is threatening you. Or perhaps they're just raising their voice much like you. But you start showing angry behavior, screaming, knock drinks off of the table, slap a beer out of somebody's hand, call somebody ugly names, whatever it is, and suddenly you're in a fight. And you're going to think, well, I didn't throw the first punch. No, but you sure did provoke them. You almost begged them to throw the first punch, dared them to throw the first punch, all because of your behavior. It doesn't matter. Again, you don't know this person. Why are you so angry about what they're doing? Unless they're attacking you, destroying your property, or doing it to somebody else that you care about, or somebody that you believe needs to be helped and know needs to be helped, because often this will also be a setup. There's no reason to engage with them in an angry, disrespectful way. And even if they are, there's frequently no reason to engage with them in an angry or disrespectful way. Sometimes it may be a last-ditch effort to try to let them know, hey, this is my line and it might get physical. But it should only last for a brief moment and only done under certain circumstances of which you're aware. Don't use this as your default. Don't be angry and disrespectful simply because you think you can get away with it or you can make that person back down. It's not going to happen most of the time. In fact, they're going to double down because they believe you deserve it. Because look at what kind of person you are. You deserve to be beaten down. And acting angrily or disrespectfully is going to make that person believe that you deserve whatever is coming to you. Displaying fear. You're in an engagement, argument, something happened, and this person's getting incited, and they're displaying angry or disrespectful behavior. And all of a sudden you realize you're in an unfamiliar place, and people are starting to gather around you, and this guy's getting even closer to you, and he maybe shoved you off to try to entice you to throw a punch. And your mind goes to a place like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And for a brief moment, fear grips you. And it shows on your face and it shows in your body. Don't show fear. Even if you feel it deep down inside. Don't show trying to cover up fear. You know that stone face people have, but their hands are trembling because of that adrenaline dump, because fear kicked in. Nothing's really happened. Something just kicked off. And it's usually due to some misunderstanding or miscommunication, but it went from 0 to Mach 1 almost instantly. And your survival brain's going, what's going on here? You can't run because you haven't picked out the routes yet, don't know the exits, or for whatever reason you have people or something with you, and fear kicks in. Overcome it. Don't display it. Make yourself relax, ground yourself, and calmly take a deep breath, let the fear escape you in that exhale, and just look at the guy, perhaps even lazily, not dismissively or disrespectfully, but in a calm, controlled way, and ask him, what's going on here? And this way, one thing, you have your hands in front of you. Another thing is you've started the relaxation process, and you're showing you don't have any weapons, you're not upset, and you're truly wondering, what's going on here? Don't display fear. Confusion isn't fear. Asking questions shows that you're not too frightened to say something. Standing your ground while you're relaxing lets them know you're not fearful, you're not angry, you're just a person trying to figure out what's going on. If a predator sees fear, they're going to attack you. If this is a setup, they know you're scared, that's when they're going to attack you. The sixth way to lose a street fight is forgetting your training. Okay, you've tried everything. You tried to de-escalate the situation. You didn't let your ego take control. You've been backing away. Your hands are up. You tried to reason with them. You tried to do everything. You tried to find a route. You've been slowly stepping off, trying to keep him from being able to explode on you. You didn't show fear. You didn't show anger. You've been trying to allow people to see that, hey, you're a good guy. You don't know what happened. Surely there's some misunderstanding. And you've been trying to explain it and figure out what's going on and keep this from blowing up into a physical altercation. But nothing's worked. He's tried to shove you a few times and you've stepped off and avoided it. He's even thrown a punch, which you step to the side and you're like, hey man, what are you doing? Making him reposition himself, but it doesn't matter. He's coming hard and fast, and now you're in a fight. And there's nothing you can do about it. You tried everything you could. You tried escaping, you tried reasoning, you tried de-escalation in every form or fashion, and here it comes. So, he's throwing bombs. Head down, or he's going in for that tackle. Do not forget your training. You've been training for years. So, let the training come out. Don't get hyped up, stiffen up, and throw bombs back, planting your feet, trying to hit with whatever presents itself while trying to avoid his punches. And if you stand there planted, you're going to eat his punches. And you don't know who else's punches are going to be there, which you haven't been paying attention to probably because you're focused on that guy, even though you've been trying to maintain your awareness and use your environment. But you'll probably be surrounded because nobody's going to start a fight with you, especially when you're trying to avoid it. You've apologized, you've done everything, unless they know in their mind they're going to beat you and beat you badly, and they're going to be relatively unscathed. So this guy's going to have friends, he's going to have weapons, he's going to have something, or he wouldn't think he could take you so easily because nobody wants to get hurt, but everybody wants to win, right? So don't forget your training. Keep moving, stay aware, stay relaxed. Attempt to let yourself use the training the best way you know how. In fact, you might even look at this as a learning lesson to how to avoid in the future. What mistakes did I make? And what mistakes is he making where you can capitalize and beat him in this now self-defense situation because you tried to avoid the fight every way you could. This is now self-defense. Are you being attacked by this single individual? Are his friends all of a sudden joining in? Are there weapons? Is he trying to hide something? Is somebody else have a weapon and they're approaching you? So try to take the whole thing in and use this as a training exercise. I know this sounds weird, but like I said just a minute ago, try to enjoy it for what it is. Let your training kick in and use it. There are many complexities, layers, and sophistications of this art. Use what's appropriate as quickly and efficiently as you can to rid yourself of this physical attack and go on about your way the best way you can. Lean into your training. Don't panic and start throwing bombs. And here we get to the seventh way to lose a street fight. While I want you to enjoy this as much as you possibly can, relax and use your training. Don't immerse yourself in the violence. This is not your place to teach this guy a lesson. This self-defense situation, you're probably way ahead of them and can easily injure them in a severe, quick manner, and probably even lethally. Don't allow the violence to get carried away in your own mind and think, okay, buddy, you brought this on yourself. Now it's my turn. Don't do that. Because you don't know where it's going to take you. You don't know what this person knows. Perhaps they're well trained and you start becoming very, very serious and start breaking bones, cracking their head on the concrete, breaking their leg, and now they're going to become very, very serious, as well as all their friends watching, because they're going to see that brutality and you don't know what's going to end up happening. Again, this is an unfamiliar place. This is not a controlled environment. There are no referees. You're not even in a school, university, high school, whatever it is. This is not going to be broken up, maybe for a while. Then again, it might be broken up by all his friends coming and piling upon you while they drag him away and beat you severely with whatever's handy. Don't immerse yourself in the violence and be taken away by it. Maintain your frame of mind, stay relaxed, and do whatever is necessary to keep yourself from injury and harm. But no more. Which brings me to my 8th and final way to lose a street fight: not showing compassion. While it may seem similar to not immersing yourself in violence, it's not the same. You show compassion when the violence is over and you know this guy's beaten, or you know the altercation is completed. You don't need to stomp on that guy's head when he can't get up, or kick him in the face just to show, look, you don't mess with me. Don't do that. You don't break that guy's arm when it's not necessary to break it. Sure, if there are multiples jumping upon you and this is a life or death situation, break what you need to. But that's not this case. And that's not in most cases. As I said before, most street fights are simply ego battles. And it's like two rams butting heads to show who's the more dominant person. Don't engage that kind of thing. That's not self-defense. And failure to show compassion once you're involved in a self-defense situation is going to look very poorly for you in court if you end up there and you don't end up in the hospital or the morgue. These witnesses, onlookers, they may have decided, yeah, that guy was acting like a jerk, and this guy we don't know is going to fight him, and maybe he deserves to get beat up a little bit. But beating somebody up a little bit, some multiple contusions, knocking them on their behind, slapping them on the ground, landing a few strikes on their face and some punches in the liver, groin, that's way different than torquing that groin and ripping it off, breaking somebody's arm so they can't work for their family, breaking their legs so they can't walk, crushing their ankle and foot. That's very, very different than slapping somebody around a little bit to save yourself. That will be looked at as something that's actually favored. I've actually made a few friends by being involved in a fight, and they knew it could have gone far worse for them if I chose to do so. And I decided to take some compassion or a little mercy and didn't fight them. Or they landed a couple of good blows, but they were in an inferior position. I could have made it far worse for them, and I simply backed off and said, you want to keep doing this or what? And they realized this guy really wasn't hurting me, and I can really hurt them. And I'm asking them, once again, what they want to do. You fail to show some compassion and ruthlessly injure somebody where they're permanently maimed or they can't feed themselves or their family, you're going to lose that fight. No matter what you think, no matter that you have won, you're going to lose that fight. You're going to lose it in the courts. You're going to lose it in the job sphere. You're going to lose it in society. You just lost. You're going to end up in prison, and you might see that guy again. You'll probably see his friends again, and you're going to have to do it all over again. And ultimately, you can't win. There's too many people. Law enforcement's going to come in. They're not going to be kind to you either, especially if you're in a foreign country. And if they're truly frightened of you, they're not even going to bother with putting their hands on you until you're either unconscious or dead, because they don't get paid to fight. They get paid to stop altercations and bring peace and order in the community. Please review these things. 8 ways to lose a street fight in Bagua Puntau Silat. And like I said, my personal art is strictly for self-defense. That's also defense of your body, spirit, and mind. And this, I hope you've learned something from. Only use Bagua Puntau Silat when you have no other choice. However, you can train in it every day, and you should. I do. I enjoy it. It's been my life's passion, and I hope it is for you too. And I want you to have a happy and fulfilled life, you and everyone else around you. And I want my art to help you do that. So please don't lose a street fight. Take care. Please go to my website, www.popssigung.com, and like and subscribe. See you soon.